Yeah, I don't know. I don't really get blind jokes. I just can't see the point. Hey, shh. Welcome back to Not Another Needless Sequel, where we watch movies and propose unnecessary prequels, sequels, reboots, and remakes. My name is Kane. With me, as always, is my co-host, my wife, and a woman I would fight in a park to get her name, Kelsey.
Ladies and gentlemen, justice is blind, but it can be heard.
Was that in the movie?
Yeah, that's how he starts in court.
That's a bit on the nose.
Yeah, that's why I picked it.
Well, this week we saw that you can do anything if you're not afraid in 2003's Daredevil. So what do you think the story was?
A blind man fighting crime.
So,
That good.
I mean, people probably know Daredevil if they
Yeah.
care to listen to this. You famously thought that it was Matt Damon in this movie, but it's actually Ben Affleck that plays Matt Murdock.
Oh my gosh, you're obsessed with Matt Damon.
Very embarrassing for you, but it actually, again, is Ben Affleck.
Were you being serious when you were saying it was Matt Damon?
No, when you were saying it,
when you were saying it, were you being serious?
When you said it, I was serious when I told you it wasn't.
Oh, okay. So when you said it, though, were you thinking that it was Matt Damon?
Because when I was correcting you.
Because I laughed it off, and I thought that you were making a joke the whole time.
So when I was correcting you that it wasn't Matt Damon, I knew the whole time it was Ben Affleck.
Okay, so pinky promise.
Yes.
Did you know it was Ben Affleck?
Yes.
When you were joking that it was Matt Damon.
I knew it was Ben Affleck. I pinky promise when I was correcting you. That
You did not correct anything.
So
how about them apples?
So again, Ben Affleck plays Matt Murdock, who goes blind as a child, and we see his childhood where his dad is a boxer, and his dad kind of works for this, crime. I don't want to say kingpin, because there is a kingpin. But he is beating a guy up to get some money for his boss, and his son catches him. And, he turns and runs in horror, and this guy is driving a forklift. And it seems to me like the way that forklift cut into that radioactive can, that was going to happen whether Matt was there or not.
Yes.
So that forklift driver's...
Wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah. So, this chemical goes into his eyes. He becomes blind, and as a result, all his other senses are enhanced, and...
Basically has superpowers, which, if you've seen the new Daredevil stuff, isn't really the case. But in this one, he can jump from building to building.
He is outrageously athletic in this.
Yeah, pretty...
And they mention he has super strength in this, too, which I think is a little BS, but...
I will say that he's bullied by a group of kids, and then the group of kids come to bully him again, and I'm like, you're literally bullying a blind child. And then they have a fight, and it's not great.
One of the kids just runs at him, and he just sidesteps him and hits him with his stick.
And then he does like a backflip where you could clearly tell that he's on like a harness. And
yeah. So his dad is asked to throw one of his fights by this guy, and he does not throw the fight. As a result, he is killed, and that's a big part of Matt Murdock's story as he grows up to become a lawyer and also Daredevil. Anyway, he's a lawyer by day with his partner, Foggy. They take on clients that are actually innocent because he can hear their heartbeat and tell when somebody's lying, but they don't get a lot of money, which is much to Foggy's dismay. And you see a court case where they are trying to convict this rapist, and he ends up getting off, and as a result, you see that when shit like that happens, that night, he dresses up as Daredevil, and he kills this guy. I really do like that bar fight scene. I think
it is good.
Yeah, it looks really good in like the darkness and stuff, and I guess the darkness helps cover up some of the maybe not so good CGI and stuff, but yeah, he throws that fool into a subway track and lets it kill him.
Yeah, murders him.
Fuck him, forget that guy.
I was a little surprised that he was murdering people.
Well, you also see like some of his home life, and I wanted to bring up that I think it's weird that he sleeps in that coffin.
Yeah.
It's like a sensory deprivation tank, but at the same time, with his enhanced hearing, which they show is almost a weakness at some point if something's too loud in his like face, don't you think all like the water anytime you move as you're sleeping, it would just slosh and
I don't know if it's special water or what, but he's part vampire with his coffin.
It's weird he must not have women come to his house because
and
how
also
do you explain
he
that?
seemed, which we get there in a minute, but he seemed to sleep just fine at Elektra's because he woke up and she was gone.
You're right, he did.
So it makes no sense.
You do see him actually meet Elektra next. He's in a coffee shop with Foggy, and you again get a sense of their relationship where Foggy's really trying to get better paying clients because apparently their last client paid with fish, and Matt doesn't care. He just wants the good people because, again, he knows when people are lying, so it's a lot harder for him to defend somebody, honestly.
Yeah.
And
I will say they get in a fight in the park, him and Elektra, because he wants to learn her name.
yeah,
And it's a Mortal Kombat style fight.
yeah, the way that they back up and like stand on either side of the screen.
Yeah.
But he follows her from the coffee shop trying to get her name because she wouldn't give it there. And he grabs her wrist, and like, you really shouldn't be grabbing her wrist.
No.
Like, that's uncomfortable, and you deserve to get beat up. And you're lucky that you're Daredevil and she didn't beat you up. But she falls in love with him, I guess, because they fought in a park.
Pretty much. They were in love instantly.
That's maybe one of the scenes that are not so good in this movie. I don't really care for the park fight. And
no, it wasn't done well. I think another thing I kind of mentioned is that this movie, which as we get more into it, has too many storylines.
I mean, that is something that the director said he regretted doing, is too many storylines in it. But part of Elektra is her father actually works for the Kingpin in this city, and he is saying that he wants out, and Kingpin plans to set up his father or her father, because there is a reporter, Ben Urich, who's been writing about the Kingpin, and he's supposed to kind of be a secret, like, crime kingpin. Not everyone's supposed to know about him. Like, Wilson Fisk has a legitimate company that he's supposed to run. So they're going to set up Elektra's father, and also he calls in an assassin, Bullseye, to kill his father as well.
And proceeds to show Bullseye kill a bunch of people, including an old lady on an airplane.
Yeah, he just seems to kill anybody. He's in a bar and he kills a guy that calls him Irish. I mean, it is Colin Farrell, and he is doing just his normal accent. He's on a plane and a woman's just talking, and he has his headphones in, so it seems like it's not even that he had to listen to her. He just doesn't care about people.
Yeah, so he killed her by making her choke on a peanut.
She deserved it, though, because I didn't like the way that she referred to somebody as a semi-colored fella.
That is true. I mean, I wasn't upset about her dying. It just does show how ruthless and
I'm not even sure if that first guy died. Maybe he just needed to go to the hospital. He threw a bunch of paper clips into his throat, so maybe he just couldn't breathe momentarily.
Oh, okay. He died, everyone. He murdered him.
Anyway, like I said, the Kingpin hires Bullseye for all this. I did want to say the Kingpin, he actually first appeared in The Amazing Spider-Man number 50 in 1967, and it wasn't until Daredevil number 170 in 1981, when Frank Miller was writing that, he tangled with Daredevil. So, you know, people do think of him as a Daredevil villain now, but he was a Spider-Man villain initially. There's also this scene where, you know, Daredevil starts to find out about the Kingpin when he catches this mugger, and the mugger tells him this is Kingpin's town, and he chases this mugger into a house. The house happens to be where this mugger lives with his child, and the child is super scared of Daredevil, which obviously a dude dressed as a devil busts into your house, is beating the shit out of your father, and he tells the kid, I'm not the bad guy, which is important because there's this through line of Daredevil's story where he has this sort of stereotypical Catholic guilt going on, and he feels guilty about the things that happen in the city, and that's why he does what he does, both as a lawyer and as Daredevil, and of course he feels guilty in this moment when that kid sees him beating up his dad, even though his dad deserved it. He continues on with his relationship with Elektra as well. They have a moment on the rooftop where it rains and he can see everything, including
Is that
her
when
pupils.
He sniffs her really hard?
No, not yet.
Okay.
So he spends the night with Elektra, and she asks him to come to this black and white ball that she's going to be at, where it's just a bunch of rich people. So Foggy's excited to go because he wants to get all these rich people to
be their clients.
Yeah.
And then he meets Elektra here and sniffs her.
It is a rather uncomfortable.
It's an uncomfortable whiff.
I know that they just spent the night together, but there's no reason to act like this.
No, there was not.
The way he walks up
it
and
was
just
very uncomfortable.
And what if it wasn't her?
Yeah.
Kingpin says to Elektra's father at this party, goodbye.
And gives him a rose, letting you know that he gave Daredevil's dad the final blow.
Yeah.
Because he dropped a rose on him.
I'm not sure how I feel about that. I feel like it's like that thing sometimes stories have done where they're like the Joker had something to do directly with the Wayne's murders, and I'm like, that's too much. Like, you're allowed to have your own incident when you're younger that makes you become a hero.
Yeah, and Fisk didn't even look that old, so it'd be hard to
Yeah,
believe.
was he 16 when he killed his father?
That's what I'm saying, because Matt was 12 or 13 when his dad died, and then he would have had to go to college and law school. Plus, he's been Daredevil for a while. So we'd say he's at least 30, so it's been 15 years.
Yeah, I don't know, but, he is the one that killed Matt's father. Now he's saying goodbye to Elektra's father, and Elektra's father takes the hint. He gets the hell out of there and is chased down by Bullseye. Daredevil's also trying to prevent this, and Bullseye throws something at Daredevil. He is able to dodge it because he can hear it coming at him, which really pisses off Bullseye because apparently he never misses. But ultimately, he is able to pick up or catch one of Daredevil's sticks, and he throws it into Elektra's father, killing him, which leads Elektra to believe that Daredevil did it, which I think, did you not see the fight that happened outside the car?
It's literal bullshit.
Because she's in the car the whole time, but like, were you guys not looking out the window? You're just sitting there looking forward, staring at each other? I don't know. It's just to create a fight between them, which I don't really love that they didn't make a better reason. Like, they could have shown her get knocked out or something. Just as simple as that.
Yeah.
Then it's, his funeral. It's a big payday for Evanescence, this movie, because they play one of their songs during the funeral, and it's followed. Yeah, it's not that one they play at the funeral, but that's the one that follows when it shows Elektra getting ready.
That scene hits.
I will say that as much as that song has been overplayed, that's probably the first time I heard that song is in this movie, and just does fit the tone of everything that's going on.
Elektra decides to train to fight to kill Daredevil because she wants revenge for her father. As well as Ben Urich gets a call from the coroner because he's the reporter who has the inn, and he sees the stick that will go out to impale, and that's when he puts two and two together that Matt is their Daredevil.
Yeah, because the coroner shows him that the stick turns into the walking stick, which...
Yeah.
Why do you have it set up like that? I know it's convenient, but all it takes is for somebody to turn it and they can figure out your secret.
Yeah.
Come on.
Pretty much.
I thought it was funny that in that training montage of... I say training montage. It's literally one room she's in where she's just fighting sandbags, and one of them has like a Daredevil painted on it.
Yeah.
You see her doing that, getting ready. You see Matt putting on his suit, zipping up his thing, putting on his gloves. After that entire thing, at the very end, it shows Bullseye. He just whips his coat and turns around. Like, he got just a little bit in that, showing he was also getting ready for this fight.
Yeah.
Because the next thing you see is Elektra attack Daredevil and...
stabs him.
Yeah, she stabs him what seems like in the shoulder. It seems like it shouldn't be that bad, but it is debilitating to him. Because of that, the rest of the movie goes differently. But she takes off his mask and sees that it's Matt Murdock, who she knows, and then she believes him that it wasn't him, which...
Immediately she felt bad.
I feel like you wouldn't believe him. Like, that doesn't make it true. He didn't do it, but at the same time, just because this is a guy that you have been with doesn't mean anything.
Right. And then, surprise, surprise, Bullseye murders her.
Yeah, which is, straight out of the comics, so you'd expect it, but...
I didn't expect it the first time I saw this movie years ago, but I wasn't a comic book reader. Daredevil then fights Bullseye in honor of Elektra, and they actually fight inside of the church. He goes to the church to, the pew where you put the candles during a prayer, and the priest comes to him and is trying to help him, and then Bullseye comes into the church and they proceed to have a fight in there.
Yeah, that fight I think looks okay. I think I like the fight that they had in the road a little better, even though it's smaller. Like, this longer one, they do a lot of jumping around on the instruments, the organ or whatever.
Yeah, I'm I don't know if that's the organ, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think maybe it's too much balancing on there, but it was to show his weakness, because once he figures it out, he keeps hitting it. I do like when he breaks the glass and he gets all the glass pieces and is throwing them at him, showing he's deadly with anything in his hand, basically.
Yeah, something I don't think that I liked about the fight is it seemed like even Elektra and Bullseye in this movie had super jumping abilities and all these crazy parkour powers, which just made it a little bit less believable, that it, made it more cheesy.
Yeah, everybody is able to leap great heights, land from tall distances, things like that, and it doesn't seem to really affect them.
Yeah.
Including the fact that the fight ends with him being thrown off this roof and he lands on a cop car, and he does live.
He lands on Ben Urich's car.
Oh, yes, he lands on
And
Ben
then
Urich's
because the
car.
cops come up and one of them point the gun at Ben, and he's like, "What are we doing?" Like, he was just parked outside and nothing to do with it. This is when Daredevil decides to go after the Kingpin.
I mean, it seems like he already knew about the Kingpin a lot more. Like, it seemed like there was more to it there, because Kingpin also seems to know about Daredevil. He's informed that Bullseye failed, and he knows that Daredevil's coming for him, and so they fight in his office. And, he brings up the fact that he killed both Elektra and his father. And so Matt has since put it together. Kingpin doesn't care. It's just business for him. And he drops down and kicks Kingpin in both of his knees and, bends them backwards. I feel like that wasn't because he killed his dad. It wasn't because he killed Elektra. But it was because at the beginning of the fight, Kingpin picks up Daredevil and throws him into the ceiling. And that's mad disrespectful. So he had to kick his knees backwards.
The thing I didn't like is it seemed like such a pivotal moment, and it should have been such a big fight, and it was just a few minutes, which we'll get into overall ratings and all of that in a minute. I just wanted more.
Yeah.
Because you don't really meet, you only see Kingpin a few times. He's maybe in the movie for 5 minutes.
I mean, you do see growth from Matt, where he could have killed Kingpin there, and he doesn't. And it leads to them having a conversation, basically being like, this is going to go on. They're going to keep fighting and keep having problems. But he goes to prison because Ben Urich has released the story with all the information that they have about Kingpin. And you also see Ben Urich writing a Daredevil story where he reveals that it's Matt Murdock, and then he decides not to. And the way that they show him deciding not to, he just starts holding down backspace on his computer. You're gonna backspace this entire article?
It was dramatic. I think he was just backspacing the part where
it shows
revealed...
it keeps going even further.
I thought it
and
stopped.
I'm like, can you highlight or maybe just do delete the Matt Murdock part? Yeah, he supports him even though he knows who he is. And you find out Elektra's alive because she leaves Matt a necklace that is similar to her mother's necklace, but it's in Braille, which seems a little weird. There is a Bullseye after credit scene where it shows him in the hospital, just all in a full body cast, but you do see that he's able to pick up a syringe and throw it and hit a fly on the wall, so he's fine. He'll be back up and at him. So my last two pieces of trivia that I have for this is Matt Damon turned down the lead role as he didn't have enough faith in the script or director, so that's probably why you thought it was Matt Damon in the movie.
Oh my gosh, I didn't.
The film pays homage to numerous Daredevil writers and artists. Some of them are Stan Lee. Of course, he's Daredevil's original creator, but he makes his cameo as a man who is about to walk into the street and young Matt Murdock stops him. He wrote Daredevil from 1964 to 1969. Kirby, the lab assistant, he's based on the comic book artist Jack Kirby, who did assorted Daredevil covers between 64 and 68. Father Everett is named after Bill Everett, Daredevil's original artist. He drew the first issue of Daredevil in 64. Joe Quesada, who was the rapist that they were trying to convict, he is based on Joe Quesada, the editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics and the artist of Daredevil in 98 to 2000, which, before I go on, what's up with that? They have Stan Lee in the movie, they name a lab assistant after Jack Kirby, they name the priest after Bill Everett, and then they name the rapist after Joe Quesada. That seems personal, right?
Maybe it was.
Okay, so John Romita, he's the boxer who Jack Murdock was supposed to lose against. He's named after John Romita Sr., and he was a Daredevil artist in 1966, and John Romita Jr. was a Daredevil artist between 88 and the 90s. Mm-hmm. Kevin Smith, he authored a collection of Daredevil stories in something called Daredevil Visionaries. Kevin Smith, he plays the lab assistant that was named after Jack Kirby.
Nice. That's a lot. They involve a lot of creators. I like that, though. It's nice.
Yeah. So the budget for this movie was $78 million, which they actually increased it from $50 million after the success of Spider-Man. And the box office for it was $179.2 million. So it did make its money back by a bit, but the reviews for it were pretty average. There was a lot of praise for the actors, but less so for the story.
I agree with that, actually. I gave it a 3 out of 5, and it's specifically for the storyline. I think that there was too many storylines going on that it never let you fully develop a feeling for one side or the other. So it was hard to be like, oh, you beat the Kingpin. Just cool. That's all I thought. It wasn't. I know in the TV show you have more time to like build up that hatred relationship. I get it, but I just think that there was too many storylines going on. They should have just picked one and stuck to it, and I think it would have done well, and then there would have been a sequel.
Yeah, I mean, there's even the possibility of just making Kingpin a character that they reference, but he never interacts with, which would just lead to a sequel.
Yeah.
You know, they can talk about the Kingpin, say the Kingpin did this, that, but you just know that that's a looming threat rather than making him part of it. I probably would have just done Elektra, I guess, and left out Bullseye. I think you can do plenty with just Elektra for now, and again, referencing Kingpin. But I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I really do like a lot of parts of this movie. I think a lot of stuff obviously doesn't hold up just because of how old it is.
I think that we can't really judge, though.
But I mean, I also agree, you know, the actors that played a lot of these characters, they were really good. I mean, even smaller ones, like, I thought Jon Favreau as Foggy was funny as hell. Like, all of his lines were funny. You know, Michael Clark Duncan, he played a great Kingpin. I would have loved to see more of that. Colin Farrell did a great Bullseye. Lots of heavy breathing from him, though.
Yeah.
I feel like that was most of his characters, breathing very heavily as he said things. And, you know, obviously Jennifer Garner even reprised her role as Elektra both in her own movie and in Deadpool. And she's done a good job with it. So, who do you think would win in a fight between Ben Affleck's Daredevil and Charlie Cox's Daredevil?
Charlie Cox. No questions.
But Ben Affleck can do jumps.
Doesn't matter. No questions.
And Ben Affleck will kill.
No questions. Wilson Fisk will kill and Charlie Cox beat him. The
Barely.
Punisher will kill and Charlie Cox kind of beat him.
Barely. What about Colin Farrell Bullseye versus Colin Farrell Penguin?
Does Colin Farrell Penguin have help and assistance from other guys or just one-on-one?
Yeah, sure. He has his little dumb, random, no-name gang.
Bullseye.
Yeah, probably. I mean, he just kills people.
Yeah.
Colin Farrell's Penguin needs to lie. He doesn't have time to lie when there's a paperclip in your throat.
True that.
Michael Clark Duncan Kingpin versus Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin.
Michael Clark Duncan. I feel like we didn't truly get to see the extent of his power in the movie. I don't think that the movie did him justice.
But Vincent D'Onofrio closed that guy's head in that car door, remember?
Yeah.
Over and over until he was able to just fully shut it. That's a skull. That's a human skull.
Yeah, I know. But I think that Michael Clark Duncan wouldn't even get to that point. He also punched Daredevil's dad so hard in the face he died.
Okay. I think it'd be an even fight.
But you know who I'm picking over the both of them?
Who?
Into the Spider-Verse's fist.
He punched Spider-Man so hard in the chest he died.
Yeah, and he's just built like a brick triangle.
Okay, Ben Affleck's Daredevil versus Ben Affleck's Batman.
Martha. My mom's name is Martha too. Aren't our moms the same?
But they both kill.
I'm going Daredevil.
That's crazy. That's insane. Absolutely not.
Ben Affleck's Batman's not that good.
He will fucking annihilate Daredevil.
No.
He'll run him over with the Batmobile.
Daredevil will sense it coming.
Definitely not. He wouldn't be able to hear. What happens when Batman...
Did I say hear? No, I said sense.
How's he gonna sense it when his shit's all fucked because all you can hear is the engine?
Yeah, because he'll be like, and then he'll be like, jumpity jump, jump, jump.
In 2005, Jennifer Garner reprised her role as Elektra in her own film. Ben Affleck shot a cameo role for the spin-off film, but the scene was ultimately cut. In October 2004, Affleck stated he would only return in the lead role if Fox would renegotiate to tell the darker stories of Daredevil, and showed interest in the Guardian Devil graphic novel as well as the Born Again storyline. Obviously that didn't happen, and Ben Affleck also hates this movie and complained that being a superhero was a big point of embarrassment for him, and he felt like he was inoculating himself from being any other superhero.
So he did better as Batman?
Yeah, then he went on to be in The Flash, probably the best superhero movie ever. So, good on you, Ben Affleck. Anyway, what's your sequel?
My sequel is called Daredevil New Beginnings.
Okay.
Some time has passed and crime has actually been lower in the city with Fisk in prison. So Matt has been able to focus on being a lawyer, becoming successful, and finally making some money with Foggy. He spends his spare time looking for Elektra but has been unsuccessful thus far. He gets word from prison that Wilson Fisk is going to try and expose his identity and has hired a new set of employees to run his business while he's in prison, as well as plan for his escape. Crime starts to pop up all over town, and Daredevil While he's able to stop people, it's just too many different crimes happening at once, so things start to get out of hand. Get it?
Hand?
The organization is the hand.
Okay.
Eh?
Yes.
Eh?
I see.
You like that?
The hand.
Yeah.
What
Anyway.
about the foot?
Nope, just the hand.
Well, hold on. I don't think you know this. Did you know that the same radioactive material that caused Daredevil to go blind is what created the Ninja Turtles? And the Ninja Turtles fight the foot.
Yes.
That's their ninjas.
I did know that, actually. We've talked about this before.
Is this what your movie is? Are you doing Ninja Turtles?
No, but that's a much better idea than what mine is, and I'm a little upset that I didn't.
No, the hand, the foot.
Who can really say? Upon further research, Matt figures out that it's an organization called The Hand that has been helping Wilskin Fist. He continues to try and stop them, but no matter how many of them he's able to kill, in this movie he kills, and stop, there's always more. At this point, he decides instead to stop Kingpin, he must take over The Hand and use their abilities to fight crime the other way against the city.
Damn.
He's gaining trust of the members of the Hand organization, and all of a sudden a new assassin appears within the city and starts murdering the members of the Hand and is now helping do Fisk's dirty work. Over time, in a 1-to-1 fight with his new foe, Daredevil realizes it's none other than Elektra. Mm-hmm. He tries to stop and fight and plead with her, but she refuses and escapes. He's getting deeper and deeper into the organization, and at this point, Elektra, while she's still on Fisk's side, gives him warnings about what he's getting himself into. He doesn't believe her because of the person that she has become. One final fight with the Hand will reveal the true villain, the Beast. The Hand organization is able to subdue Daredevil, and at the end of the movie will be his eyes opening as the new leader of the Hand. But it's a possessed version of him. The end.
That's cold. Did you recast him as Matt Damon?
No, I left him. I think that this is really a trilogy.
It sounds like it could be. Well, mine, because in Deadpool, Elektra mentions that Daredevil's dead. That's what I went with.
Oh, okay.
So mine's called Daredevil End of Days, and it's an adaptation of the Guardian Devil and the End of Days storylines, and while also fitting into this universe. So obviously you'll see the changes I made. Strap in, because you're going to have to focus to pay attention to what's happening here.
Okay.
The movie opens up at a funeral for Matt Murdock with an old, retired Ben Urich in attendance. We see Ben looking down, puzzled, at a piece of paper. On the paper are the words, "Find Mapone." As Ben leaves the funeral, we see a large group of people there to support Matt, as his secret identity has been revealed through his death, and many have been saved by him, but there's an equal number of protesters there with signs calling him the devil. Most of the film will be seen in flashbacks as Ben Urich makes it back home and gets out all of his old reporter equipment and tries to figure out who or what Mapone is. We see the night that Matt died. Daredevil's in a violent fight with Bullseye, shouting the entire time, "Why did you do it? You made me into this." Daredevil seems to be out for blood, but unfortunately his rage is affecting him, and eventually Bullseye gets the upper hand, throwing Daredevil from the roof of a building, and in his rage, Daredevil uses his grappling hook not to catch himself, but instead to wrap it around Bullseye's neck and take him to hell with him. Ben is then seen talking with Foggy to see if he knows anything about the word Mapone, revealing that Foggy was given a sealed envelope by Matt weeks before his death with the piece of paper saying "Find Mapone," with the strict instructions not to open it and to deliver it to Ben Urich if anything happens. Foggy, however, does tell Ben a mysterious woman came to visit the office soon after Matt's death and gives Ben the security footage of the woman. Upon viewing the tape, we see a flashback absent of Ben Urich. The flashback shows Daredevil in a fight with Natasha Romanoff, also known as the Black Widow. The fight ultimately leading to a relationship between the two.
Ooh, spicy.
Natasha reveals to Matt that she is pregnant before we return to present-day Ben.
Wait, is she able to have kids in this universe?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
This isn't MCU, Black Widow.
Oh, okay.
The woman who visited Foggy was Natasha Romanoff, which Ben had to call in every favor he had to find out. But with still no lead on where to find her, Ben revisits the last story he wrote about Daredevil before he retired, looking for inspiration on what his old investigative reporter self would have done. The last article he wrote is titled "The Most Dangerous Man Alive." As Ben reads the story, we see a flashback showing Kingpin and Daredevil meeting once again. Daredevil tells Kingpin he's not welcome in New York City, despite what the law may say, leading to a fight as Daredevil demands over and over that Kingpin leave. As Kingpin refuses, throughout the fight, Daredevil breaks his neck, killing him. As onlookers are shocked, Daredevil pleads, claiming there was no other way. In the present day, Ben is attacked by members of the Hand. The Hand captures Ben and asks what he knows about Mapone. Ben tells the truth, that he knows nothing and is investigating it, But the Hand does not believe him, and they are about to kill him until Black Widow and someone dressed as Daredevil show up, dispatching of the Hand. Afterwards, they talk with Ben, revealing the rest of the story through an extended flashback. Matt and Natasha went on to have their baby. The Kingpin gained this information and hatched a plot to use it against him. The Kingpin employed Bullseye to poison Matt slowly over years in secret with a poison that would cloud his judgment and drive him insane at the same time. The Kingpin wants Daredevil's reputation ruined before he is killed, so the Kingpin forces Daredevil's priests under threat to begin whispering to Matt that he believes the baby of the Man Without Fear and the Black Widow is destined to be the Antichrist. Because of the slow poisoning, this weighs on Matt's mind until he attempts to kill the child, leading to a face-off between Natasha and Matt to decide the fate of the child. Matt throws the baby off a roof, and Black Widow is able to catch the baby and disappear, never to be seen again. Daredevil, in a rage, spends several months searching for the Black Widow and killing anyone in his path along the way. Eventually, he is racked with guilt, questioning what he's done, and he begins to realize he must not be in his right mind and discovers his poisoning, leading to him killing both Kingpin and Bullseye and, of course, his own death. In the present day, Black Widow tells Ben after Matt attempted to kill their son, she dropped off the map and trained their child to take over for his father and possibly kill him one day. Their son was the one dressed as Daredevil. Black Widow asked Ben to move on from this, as the end of Matt Murdock's life is a tragedy brought on by Kingpin and not a mystery. She asked that Ben help restore the Daredevil's reputation, as a new Scarlet Avenger will soon reveal themselves to the city. As she gets up to leave, she calls to her son, "Mapone, we must go."
I liked it. It was good. Some Mapones taking over the family business.
Thank you so much for listening. We do so appreciate it. If you want to talk movies with us, you can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Letterboxd, Threads, and Blue Sky. We are NansPod everywhere.
NansPod?
If you'd like to vote on whose sequel idea was the best, come by our YouTube channel for the polls, or you can let us know your idea across our socials or at needlesssequel@gmail.com. Links, as always, will be wherever you are listening. If I could ask you for one thing, it's to share our show with someone and leave us a review. That is how we get new listeners. Of course, I also ask that you come back for more Needless Sequels. Next week, we are watching Joker, Folie à Deux on Max.
Folie à Deux.
Today, I want to close with a line from Daredevil in the 2017 Defenders series. Your ability to get through it as this gets harder, that is 100 times more powerful than slapping a smile on your face and pretending like everything is just fine. Take care of yourselves, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Bye.